Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother Dawadah from the Men of Valor campaign, Greenville, South Carolina, coming back with another video of sincerity and in truth, and Lord willing to keep edifying. I have this article right here from the New York Times. All right, some major news within the last week was Trump signing an executive order to change the Department of Defense back to the Department of War. All right, and as you can see right here, you have Trump, and you have Pete Hegseth, which formerly was the Department of Defense. He is now the Department of War because of the title change and everything. And we're going to go into how that ties into biblical prophecy concerning the fact that the Lord said that there would be war. All right. So this is from the New York Times. It says, President of Peace, Department of War. A new name sends mixed signals. All right, it says President Trump's renaming of the Department of Defense comes amid his campaign for Nobel Peace Prize. On Saturday, he wrote on social media that Chicago was about to find out why it's called the Department of War. And that's another thing. They've declared war on YNs. All right. They've declared war on Jake. All right. They're talking about sending the National Guard up into Chicago, and there's going to be a war between, these switch wielding YNs and these tactical, militias. All right. The Lord said these things will happen, man. The damn rubber about to meet the road. It says in his campaign for a second term, President Trump promised that he would get and keep the United States out of wars. In his inaugural address, he said he wanted to leave a legacy of unification. And after just under 8 months in office, he is openly campaigning for a Nobel Peace Prize. But this week, Mr. Trump sent a conflicting message. The president of peace, as the White House has branded him, signed an executive order to establish a Department of War. The change speaks to the contradictions in Mr. Trump's presidency and the image he projects to the world. On the one hand, seeking the ultimate prize for peace, while at the same time promoting a far more aggressive use of U.S. military might. He even suggested in a social media post on Saturday morning that he would go to war with a city in his own country where he has threatened an immigration crackdown. He said Chicago was about to find out why it's called the Department of War. Ooh. Hey, man, Trump, he popping his shit, man. Along with 3 helicopter emojis. Asked on Friday about how he squared his Department of War, squared his Department of War with his push for peace, Mr. Trump did not see a contradiction. I think I've gotten peace because of the fact that we're strong, he said. Mr. Trump claims to have solved at least 7 wars, a statement that requires context. Mr. Trump said he had revived a name used for the nation's original defense agency until just after World War II, because it's better reflected the country's fighting capabilities and sent a message of victory to both allies and enemies. Mr. Trump, who was granted 5 deferments from being drafted to fight in Vietnam, including for a diagnosis of bone spurs, said that the country had never fought to win a war after World War II, when Congress renamed the Department of War the Department of Defense. Critics say the rebranding exposed the hypocrisy behind Mr. Trump's promises to bring peace. He ran as the supposed anti-war candidate, but he proved to be just the opposite, said Matt Duss, Executive Vice President at the Liberal Center for International Policy. This stunt underscores that Trump is more interested in belligerent chest thumping than genuine peacemaking, with dangerous consequences for American security, global standing, and the safety of our armed forces. Only Congress can change the department name, so the title is ceremonial until it's codified into law. Mr. Trump had ordered the federal government to recognize it as a secondary name, in addition to having Secretary of War served as the secondary title to Secretary of Defense. So it's looking like they haven't officially changed it over from what I'm seeing here. But this nigga Trump, he doing what the hell he want to do, man. All right, even if it's a technical secondary name, they're pushing it to the forefront. They're not going to go by Secretary of Defense anymore, or Department of Defense. It says the measure has drawn the support of some Republicans in Congress. Senator Markwayne Mullin, Republican of Oklahoma and member of the Armed Service Committee, praised Mr. Trump into a social media post for ending wars, not starting them, and said that the renaming reflects the seriousness of this national security mission and a return to our military history. Colonel Larry Wilkerson, who served as chief of staff to former Secretary of State Colin L. Powell, said that the name change underscored the shift in the military's approach from defense to offensive. The new posture could be seen in the deadly strike on a boat that the U.S. officials said were carrying Venezuelan drug smugglers. In the operation, Mr. Trump used the military in a way that had no clear legal precedent or basis, according to experts in the laws of war and executive power. Yeah, man, when they blew up those drug runners or whatever in Venezuela, man, they weren't supposed to do it that way. So hey, Esau doing what the hell he want to do right now, man. And the Lord said he was going to do it. All right, this is the Lord that's moving through this man. All right, on the left-hand side. Colonel Wilkerson said the timing of the name change was especially conspicuous after the leaders of China, Russia, India, and North Korea met at a summit in China without the United States. The United States, he said, was pontificating about its power at a time when its power is visibly ebbing in front of everyone's faces. I'm not sure what they mean by that. It says the rebranding also comes at a moment when Mr. Trump has said he wants to eliminate wasteful spending in the government, which has already resulted in deep cuts, including at the Pentagon. William D. Hartung, a senior research fellow at the Quincy Institute of Responsible Statecraft, where he focuses on the arms industry and U.S. Military budget, said the rebranding would cost at least millions of dollars. It runs counter to this notion that they're efficient. They're focusing on the war fighting because this is largely a PR operation, Mr. Hartung said. It's chump change for the Pentagon's budget, he added, but it's chump change that could do something real somewhere else. Asked on Friday whether he had any concerns about how much the rebranding would cost, given that the Pentagon was cutting back costs, Mr. Trump said it would be the most expensive. So let's go back. It says, we know how to rebrand without having to go crazy, he said, adding that it would mostly involve changing things like stationery. We don't have to recarve a mountain or anything. Mr. Trump directs the federal government to recognize the new name and title in official correspondence, public communication, ceremonial context, and constitutory documents within the executive branch. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has already begun transitioning his office and department with new signs. All right, so this is the news. All right. And this shows you that the mindset that the Lord is putting these devils in, man. All right. So let's grab this. All right. Ironically enough, let's grab this. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So, yeah, the Lord said it plainly that everything has a season. All right. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. And right now, the Lord is breaking down America. It's been built up. Now the Lord is systematically breaking it down. Now is the time. The Lord is obviously sending a clear signal that now is the time to kill. With war, war deals with a lot of killing. Jumping down to verse 8, a time to love and a time to hate. All right, it doesn't seem like we're in much of a time of love right now, man. All right, and the scriptures say what? Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So these people are not going to be all warm and cuddly, and neighborly toward each other soon. Everybody's, pretty much struggling economically. All right, yeah, they might be parading that the stock market is at an all-time high, but people's pockets are not. And even if people are making more money, things just cost more money now, man. Things are more expensive. People are behind on their bills, rent, car notes, student loan debt, man. So people are just struggling right now, and it's forcing people to cut out certain luxuries that they didn't have to cut out before. So it says, again, verse 8, a time to love and a time of hate, a time of war and a time of peace. So clearly we're not in a time of peace. All right. No matter what Trump tried to say, him rebranding, the Department of Defense back to the Department of War is sending a clear signal to the world that, hey, we're going to defend our title. America's trying to defend their hegemony as the top, as the head honcho. Meanwhile, China and Russia are trying to, bring about a multipolar world, and they're moving and tightening their economic ties and military ties, even with North Korea, so we're seeing the lines being drawn in the sand. And let's further prove that the Lord is controlling, the mind of Trump. Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So the Lord is controlling the mind of Trump. The Lord is putting in the spirit on them to do these executive orders, even the elites that are controlling Trump. All right, the Lord is in full control of this. So the Lord is sending out a clear signal that we're in a time of war, man. And Yahushua said, when you shall see wars and uproars of the people of the world, rumors of wars, rumors of wars, one people standing up against another, famines, earthquakes in diverse places. All right, we know that these are the beginning of sorrows, man. All right, Trump about to send these troops into these different cities. He said he doesn't mind going to war with his own, with cities within his own country, because he's trying to clean everything up. All right, he's about to show that he's that red horse, man. Esau is that red horse to take peace from the earth, not give it. So funny enough, he's trying to get the Nobel Peace Prize. All right, but he's trying to get the Nobel Peace Prize, but hell, for what? He claimed he's stopping these wars and stuff. No, Esau. Esau wasn't created to be peaceful. Let's prove that. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. So what's this talking about, bringing about peace? When the Lord created this devil to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword, meaning his military might. And that was part of the blessing that the Lord, had Isaac give Esau. It says, and what? By thy sword thou shalt live. So that's how they've been able to seize power, by war, by deceit, by their military might. All right, but here it is, Jake playing, man. We see this devil, he about to come down with that great wrath. He's not playing no more, man. The Lord is sending those clear signals. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12, it says, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. All right, they're looking out in space and they're seeing, a vessel, a chariot, 7,000 miles long, man. All right, bigger than the length of America. So they're preparing. They about to come out to Jake. They're going to try to offset prophecy. All right, but the Lord is going to lift up that standard. All right. See, we have a more sure word of prophecy. All right. We know what times we're in. Just because they might say one thing, we know according to their actions, prophecy is moving in the direction that the Lord wants it to move. This is Psalms chapter 55. And let's see. Verse 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Trump get on he get out there. Hey, and Biden represented that perfectly, because Biden was all soft spoken and shit like that. All right. But Trump is doing the same thing. I'm bringing peace. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. All right. Is war not in their mind? Them changing the Department of Defense back to the Department of War means that what? War is in their heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So they're claiming they're trying to do the diplomatic approach, but guess what? They're preparing their military. They're preparing for World War III. They're preparing to lose. All right, they think they're going to win. They're going to lose this war, man. They might have won World War I and World War II, but they're going to lose. Everybody's going to lose World War III. The elect will win World War III in the end, man. All right. So yeah, man. Them changing this back to the Department of War. That they're in the mindset of war. They're in the mindset of and like it says in Revelation, the second war is past, and behold, the third war cometh quickly. So we're here, man. And it's no coincidence that the last time this was called the Department of War, they were in World War I and World War II. They changed it after World War II. But now we're at the cusp of World War III, and they're changing it back. So that's how we know we're in the end. We don't got long here, man. All right, we just got to, the way shit is tightening up, people can barely survive and stuff, man. Something's going to have to give, but the Lord is going to continue to watch over us, man. All right, we just got to continue to serve him, make the main thing, cast our burdens upon the Lord, and the Lord's going to sustain us. So just wanted to bring this out. Lord willing, is edifying. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Makakadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Till next time, Shalom.